Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the US Capitol building. If you've joined us today for the insurrection, please make sure you pick up a promotional leaflet on the way in, stay inside the safety cordons at all times, and if you get lost, speak to one of our Capitol police officers. They'll be sure to point you in the right direction. And be sure to set aside a little time today to join us for some insurrection activities, including our photography tour, our fancy dress competition, and have a go on our climbing wall. But don't forget those safety ropes. And I've now received the results of our fancy dress competition. The winner today is Jacob Chansley. That's Mr. Jacob Chansley. If you could report to your nearest Capitol police officer, they'll be sure to give you your prize, a guided tour of the building. And all that's left is for me to thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the insurrection. Wherever possible, please try to clean up after yourselves. Don't forget to visit the souvenir shop on the way out, and feel free to join us on the outdoor terrace for Nancy Pelosi's Insurrection Soiree. Grab yourself a light refreshment and enjoy the music of our very own fancy dress competition winner.
I bet they probably have the best buffet. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name's Zukardowski here of WeAreChange.org, and there is a tremendous amount of news to get into today, as of course we have massive revelations coming from Tucker Carlson, lots of backlash, lots of specific attacks, not just against him, but anyone who sides with him, of course, including people like Elon Musk, as danger is ahead, as the establishment looks like it is hell-bent on stopping anyone even just criticizing them. We're going to be talking about that, plus a lot more. If you like the shirt that I'm wearing, you could get it on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. And the amazingly hilarious skit that we played in the beginning of this video is done by Steven Voiceover. We, of course, will be linking to all of the amazing meme magic that he provides to all of us down in the description below. And he is absolutely worth a follow, to say the least. Seriously, his cruise ship iteration of what happened on January 6th, right on point, right on the money. And in my opinion, during these very difficult and turbulent times, we definitely need to laugh more, and we need to incentivize people like Steven Voiceover to do more work. This, as of course, times are getting more and more difficult as the central controllers and banksters keep taking more for themselves while screwing everyone else over. In France, there is now a major strike, a major protest that is vowing to shut down the entire country over, of course, new World Economic Forum austerity measures, specifically over pensions, as there are major pension reforms that, of course, work towards the benefit of the state. That's essentially running a Ponzi scheme. In the United States, we call it Social Security. And one thing you could always say about the French is that they're always very active, engaged, and vocal when it comes to, of course, criticizing the government. All of this as the government in South Africa looks like it's on the verge of collapsing. This after resource shortages, electrical grid problems, a larger question about the availability of water for the people there. This, as some media organizations have been categorizing what's happening there as a, quote, total all-out civil war, with the country, quote, being on the verge of collapse. This is, I think it's fair to say that the larger financial picture globally is not going to be stable, especially with the larger proxy conflict between the West and the East happening right now in Ukraine. This as Finland just recently announced a plan to build a 1,300 kilometer border fence with Russia that's going to cost them 380 million euros. This as just moments ago, the head of NATO came out and said that Ukraine might soon lose Bakhmut, something, of course, that we've been predicting and talking to you about for a very long time now. And this, of course, is the key strategic region where Russia and Ukraine have been sending the majority of their forces with. Russia, by the way, had a southern offensive that failed miserably recently as well. And with this conflict being deliberately prolonged, so will, of course, be severe economic ramifications for the rest of the world. Not just with fertilizer, not just with energy prices, not just for Russia, as the head of the IMF also just came out moments ago and said that there will be, quote, devastating consequences for Russia's economy that so far doesn't look that much affected from the larger economic warfare that has been launched against it. And hey, with so much global instability, this is one reason I'm happy that I officially partnered with Gold, IRAPatriots.com, a website that, of course, represents a company that we share the same values with. I met the people behind this company. They do some very interesting things, especially when it comes to your retirement, especially when it comes to saving potentially some money on your taxes, some interesting tax strategies. And if you want to check them out and hear them out, just go check out Gold, IRAPatriots.com. Put in your information. They could either call you or they could email you. And you could definitely hear them out, which I think is worth doing, especially in a crazy market where I think diversification is going to be very important. This, as Market Watch today is reporting how gold is edging higher after the second biggest sell-off in 2023. And gold is in such demand that even Australia is selling it to China, a diluted form of it, that of course is buying a tremendous amount of gold on the world stage. And whether it's gold or silver that you're interested in, you could actually potentially even get physical gold and silver in your hands as a form of your retirement account. Really interesting ideas, really interesting company. Check them out. Again, the link is down in the description below, Gold, IRAPatriots.com. And we're going to have a new video, by the way, later on today on LukeUncensored.com to specifically why people aren't getting any. Why aren't people getting laid? Well, we're going to be discussing that all later on today on LukeUnfiltered.com. See you there right after this broadcast. As I want to jump to our main topic of discussion, and that is the centralized establishment coordinated attack against individuals like Tucker Carlson and Elon Musk. Now, of course, Tucker Carlson is the one that's being predominantly attacked, as of course he's America's #1 news anchor. More people watch him than any other news anchor in all of the United States. And with him being very critical of the establishment, it makes sense that he's being attacked, especially after he was just given 40,000 hours of tapes of what happened on January 6th. He released those tapes, and people who had questions about the event were left with more questions, as of course there's still a lot of serious issues regarding Ray Epps, who opened the door, who denied security. There's even more questions because of the questions raised by Tucker Carlson. And let's be honest here, these questions are legitimate, as there was a lot of things told to us about this event that weren't true. Now, again, this is a complicated event, and to paint it one way or the other based on your political affiliation is a little bit disingenuous, because yes, there actually was some kind of violence on that event. And yes, there was Grandma Mima's just walking around and also getting police escorts, and also some police officers letting people in. Also some police officers saying that they were set up while being denied access to proper resources. But in the moment of this video, that story is becoming irrelevant, and the story is becoming Tucker Carlson, as right now in the making of this video, hashtag Tucker Carlson is a liar is now trending on Twitter. Now, we should be having a national discussion about what actually happened here, what should be the actual response here. The people who manipulated tapes and put audio over silent video in order to make them more manipulative should maybe be held responsible for those actions. That should be the conversation. But it's not. It's being directed against individuals and commentators, and the people leading this attack are, of course, the biggest establishment swamp monsters of them all, and that is specifically rhinos within Washington, D.C. Mitch McConnell, who, of course, is also connected to a lot of Chinese businesses and also some really weird incidences of cocaine being found with some of the enterprises that he's involved in, came out and said that it was a mistake for Tucker Carlson to show footage from that particular event. Now, how is that a mistake? We got a different picture. We got a different perspective here. We got a picture that we didn't see before, and how is that a mistake? It's not. It just, again, allowed people to see things that the government was keeping secret from you. One of the biggest angry goblins out there because of this entire situation is, of course, a longtime intelligence agency connected DC insider Chuck Schumer, who had a meltdown even before the footage was released, begging Tucker Carlson and Fox News not to release the footage, as of course the footage that released showed a lot of the very manipulative actions that his fellow Democrats took when it comes to this entire saga and event. Chuck Schumer even went as far as to say that Tucker Carlson is siding with the enemies of democracy somehow. How? He's showing us what actually happened on that day. How is that siding with... He's allowing people to make up their own minds. How disingenuous do you have to be? And Rupert Murdoch, again, is still now making personal pleas to Rupert Murdoch in order to stop Tucker Carlson from showing the American people what really happened on January 6th. Because, quote, our democracy depends on it? No, it seems like a lot of conflict of interest. It seems like a lot of finagling. It seems like a lot of manipulative things that you guys did that you don't want exposed depend on it. Not this vague generalized term of democracy, but again, it's not just him. It's also all the late night show TV hosts that regurgitate the same talking point in unison. This time, of course, Stephen Colbert even going as far as going on and saying that Tucker Carlson is addicted to being a male reproductive part. And again, these insults are not actual criticisms of what Tucker Carlson did. They're just personal ad hominem attacks that don't really convince anyone other than, of course, just trying to manipulate people's emotions. Anderson Cooper, a CIA-trained individual, literally through his own admissions, mocked Tucker Carlson. And again, what are you mocking? He's actually doing some real journalism and not just releasing hyperbolic dribble about people you don't like. And to obfuscate the larger questions that Tucker Carlson is, of course, raising, people in the media are going through his personal text messages that have been discovered through, of course, lawsuits against Fox News. Personal private messages that, of course, Tucker Carlson probably thought no one would ever read or care about, that are now being carefully released and criticized publicly, as we're finding out from, of course, the corporate media today that Tucker Carlson mocked Rudy Giuliani, specifically when his hair dye dripped down his head, and allegedly hates Trump passionately, specifically texting that he was very close to being able to not talk about Donald Trump anymore, which he says he couldn't wait for. Even saying specifically, quote, I hate him passionately. I blew up at Peter Navarro today in frustration. I actually like Peter, but I can't handle much more of it. Now, what exactly is Tucker Carlson talking about? Well, he's probably talking about the contention that, of course, arose during the 2020 election, the back and forth, there's two sides of it. And as you know here, there's a lot of things that you could criticize Bumstock Donnie on, but a lot of this is just personal dribble. Who cares about any of this? Who cares about the opinions that he's expressing? This is all meant to, of course, foment division, distraction from what we should be discussing, and that is the revelations that are coming forward that Tucker Carlson actually released and did a public service for by showing the general public a different perspective that they never saw before. And of course, you have individuals with Ukraine flags in their bios talking about how the Sicknick family should sue Tucker Carlson, just like Alex Jones was previously sued before and now is in debt to $1.5 billion. I bring him up because it definitely seems like there is a litigious attack, not just against Mr. Jones, who is now in debt for billions of dollars. Fox News is also being sued for $1.6 billion. OAN is also being kicked off major distribution networks and is also being sued. And it's not just Fox News and Tucker Carlson that people are going after, that they're suing, that they're releasing the private messages of. This underhanded tactic is also being used against Elon Musk. That also is being criticized for agreeing that Tucker Carlson actually did some real journalism here, as we have crazy, sensationalistic, non-reality-based content like this, talking about how Musk hops aboard the Carlson conspiracy train. Again, what? Come on. This is just someone who is butthurt and clearly does not give a damn about having any kind of objective viewpoint or perspective here. This says there's also a hit piece documentary that's going to be soon released about Elon Musk, and the U.S. federal government, specifically the FTC, is now going after Elon Musk and demanding that he release his own personal text messages and internal communications that he has with journalists. Yes, you heard that correctly. The FTC now is going after and investigating Elon Musk because of, quote, the Twitter files. The Biden administration is now a part of this investigation, demanding that every journalist who had access to the Twitter files and the Twitter records have all of their private messages released to the federal government. This is, again, meant to be a chilling effect against journalism, against individuals like Matt Taibbi, Barry Weiss, and so many other individuals like even Alex Berenson, that released this information. And this is an outrageous attack on the First Amendment that is absolutely a major overreach of government power that is sticking their nose into Elon Musk's business, because they essentially were exposed here for, of course, censoring people's speech, promoting narratives, and destroying the political discourse in this country to work in their own personal benefit. And when we see these larger personal attacks by the corporate media, when we see their private text messages being released, we have to remember that what's happening to Elon Musk, what's happening to Tucker Carlson, is happening because very powerful people who are exposed want to silence and punish these individuals in a coordinated, orchestrated, organized way in order to try to silence and stop any kind of dissent in this country against their larger power grab and corrupted behavior. Now the larger question is, will these very powerful forces and individuals be able to take down Elon Musk and Tucker Carlson? Well, that's a question that I think a lot of people are going to be having to ask themselves. What do you think is going to happen? Let me know down in the comment section below. Press 1 if you believe yes, they could stop them. Press 2 if no, they'll persevere and become stronger because of these larger attacks against them. But I think it's fair to say that a lot of these attacks are absolutely illegitimate, and I wish we could be talking about the larger disclosures of what we just found out, rather than, of course, all the propaganda, as the corporate media is losing their ish, telling you not to believe the evidence of your eyes and ears. This is the point that we have reached, a point of possibly no return. Wish us luck, because if they take those two individuals down, we, of course, and other individuals are next, and things aren't looking too good, to say the least. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, and this is why. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org. One more video coming your way right now on LukeUncensored.com. See you there.